Good evening, Corinth. I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes this evening about frustrations. I, like you, have heard a lot of frustrations, and the frustrations seem to be increasing, not decreasing, due to all the situations, most specifically the pandemic that we are dealing with. And it seems to me that we sometimes have a tendency to focus on the wrong things. For example, one of the frustrations that I have heard is this whole mask thing. Masks being required in some places. Some people are maskers, some people are anti-maskers, and how do we live together in a society and show mutual respect for one another when the whole COVID thing is a mutually exclusive type situation. Either everyone wears masks to try and prevent the spread of it, or it's pointless. And of course, there are those that argue that masks don't really work for this reason or another reason. And I'll admit, it can be frustrating. If I get out of my truck and go into a business and forget my mask, I've got to turn around and go back to the truck and get it. One of the more frustrating things that I had happen just this week is I went to a business. There was a sign on the door that said masks are required. So I went back to my truck and got my mask, went in the business, and none of the employees were wearing masks. Just seems a little inconsistent. So I understand the frustration. But let me contextualize it a little bit. In 1991, our servicemen and women were deployed to Kuwait. They were wearing 70, 80-pound vests with equipment. They had their Kevlar on their head, and everywhere they went, they had to take their gas masks. Even when they went to the latrine, even when they were showering, they had to have their gas masks with them at all times. Another thing that I have heard people voice frustrations about is this whole business of standing in line. Of course, the lines are longer because we're having to stay 6 feet apart. Some businesses are limiting the number of people in the store at any given time, and so you have people standing lined up outside the Walmart. And again, yes, that can be frustrating. But again, let me contextualize it. In 1944, our servicemen and women stood in line on landing boats for the next opportunity to be shot. Another big one that I've heard has been about this year's graduating seniors. They've missed out on prom, they've missed out on graduation, they've missed out on their senior trip. And I don't want to mock that, I don't want to minimize that, because yes, that is a huge disappointment, and we all know about disappointments in life. And so I don't want to take away from that in any way. There are once-in-a-lifetime moments that you just cannot get back. Flip side of that coin is in 1969, graduating seniors did get a senior trip. In fact, it was paid for by the United States government to the jungles of Vietnam. I say all that to say, I think we sometimes fail to remember how good we've got it. Let me use a more lighthearted example. In my truck today, I can get in my truck and start it, and when it starts, my truck tells me the time and the temperature outside. Now, many of you know, I've told you this before, my first car was a 1980 Toyota Corolla station wagon. I didn't have a date until I was 20 because nobody wants to go on a date with someone who's driving a 1980 Toyota Corolla station wagon. That car did not have a clock. It did not have a temperature gauge. You want to know how I had to know what time it was and what the temperature was? I had to drive by a bank. Today, if a new song comes on the radio, you can look at the screen and find out what the name of the song is and who sings that song. Back when I was first driving, if a song came on the radio that you liked, you had to hope that the DJ would, at the end of the song, tell you what the song was and who sang it. And you couldn't even enjoy the song because you spent the entire song praying that he would do that. But no, he would never do that if it was a song that you hadn't heard and you liked and you wanted to know what it was, because he had other things that he wanted to tell you. If it was a song that you already knew, if it was a song that everyone knew, sure, at the end of the song, and that was "Could I Have This Dance" by Anne Murray. Not if it's a song that you didn't know. No, at the end of the song, the DJ would say, "This is DJ coming to you, reminding you that I am going to be at the Thornton Stop and Rob on Saturday from 10 until 2 giving out t-shirts." And so then you had to go to the mall because that's where they kept all the music. You couldn't just Google it on your phone, download it on your phone. No, you had to go to the mall, go into the sound shop, look at the Billboard Top 200. Maybe you'd find it, maybe you wouldn't. And if you didn't find it, then you had to go to the employee there at the sound shop and start singing the song, even though you only remember 2 or 3 words to it. All of that to say, I think we sometimes fail to remember how good we have it. There's a song we sometimes sing, "Count your blessings, name them one by one." And this is an especially important time for us to do that, because there are many frustrations, there are many concerns, but let us not forget how good we've got it. In John 1:16, the Word of God tells us, "From His abundance we have all received one gracious blessing after another." I know there are frustrations. I share in them with you. But let us not forget our blessings. Have a great evening.